That is so crazy. I've never in my life seen a graphic like this saying to avoid nearly the entirety of the state of Florida. How hurricane categories make a difference.
When it comes to hurricanes,
this is a classic video.
Each one's impacts are a little bit different, but the wind speeds that we talk about along the Saffir-Simpson scale, those are very specific. And the damage caused in those categories, kind of predictable.
Wait, get out of the way, sir.
So let me show you. Let's start
Don't
off
do it.
with a Category 1 storm.
No.
And the damage here, not too bad. A couple of shingles fall off. You can have some palm fronds bending in the wind, but everything basically remains intact. Category 2, that's where you really start to feel it. Look at the windows of the house. They can be hit from debris from the outside and already start breaking in a Category 2.
What?
Your trees are significantly bent over in the wind, and the siding of the house itself can break, flapping there in the wind, adding to those eerie noises inside. Category 3. I've heard only a Category 3, but it's not only anything except really bad news. In a Category 3, you can have the door of the house blown in because the winds get so strong. You can have...
Why are you standing there, sir?
The roof of the house start to flap up and down in the wind because it can lift off those weak points, and a lot of those trees start to fall. Category 4, the damage is even worse. You get most trees falling, most of your windows breaking, most of your shingles fly away, and then Cat 5 is as high as the category scale goes. By Cat 5, no shingles remain anywhere nearby.
Like, it's currently Cat 5. Yeah, there you have it. An undocumented Mexican Chinese person of Jewish descent controlling the weather right in front of your eyes. What now, liberals? You don't want to see the reality. I'm thinking maybe he's Russian too.
The holes in the roof get so big that the walls of the house start to fall because they're not attached to anything anymore. There won't be any trees up in the neighborhood.
Look, he's just standing there. He's like, I'm tanking it. I don't give a fuck. Cat 5, dude. I don't give a shit.
That's just catastrophic damage. But again, that's just from the wind, and there are other impacts from hurricanes, and they all vary through the season. So stick with the Weather Channel to keep you safe when the tropics head towards you.
Look how Milton curves into Florida, then out and not up the coast. Yeah, it looks like it's just... Bro, yeah, it does. It looks like it's avoiding. It was born right here and is now just fucking... It's like, nah, I'm just going to hit Florida. Like, fuck that. Nothing else. Like, look at this shit. Since 1851, a total of 14 hurricanes have formed in the Gulf of Mexico that moved to the east and into Florida. See, it's happened before. A total of 14 times. What now, libtard? Since 1851, Jewish, Chinese, and now I'm beginning to find out Mexicans worked in a collaborative effort with their weather machine to target the beautiful state of Florida a sum total of 14 times. Okay? Here at the HasanAbi broadcast, we arrive at the truth. And I'm beginning to realize that it wasn't just the Chinese nor the Jewish population. It also happens to be undocumented Mexicans who are seemingly living in Mexico. So technically they would be documented Mexican citizens, but like they want to come to America and be undocumented. It's like God is sending the great flood to Florida. It's not funny, but it's kind of funny. I mean, it would be funny if it wasn't for the fact that there's so many poor people living in the trajectory that will get absolutely fucking destroyed and killed. By the time it gets to Orlando as a Cat 1, Tampa is just fucking tanking it, dude. Hurricane Milton's rapid intensification is a part of climate-fueled trend. It strengthened from a tropical storm to a Cat 5 in just 24 hours.
A lot of coastal Floridians often evacuate to Hallie, and they're saying this is one of the biggest evacuations that they've had to do here in Florida. More than 7 million people trying to move out of those most at-risk areas. And here we're more than 100 miles inland, and you can see that even folks here in Orlando are taking this seriously. They're filling up sandbags. Orange County alone says they've already given out more than 100,000 sandbags because here in Orlando, when Hurricane Ian came through just a couple of years ago, they got 13, 15 inches of rain in some places, and that triggered flash flooding. They had to rescue hundreds hundreds of people from their homes. So even well inland here in Orlando, they are taking this threat seriously, Hallie.
There's also a climate connection here, too, right?
Yeah, I mean, Bill was just talking about this rapid intensification that Milton is breaking all sorts of records, the second fastest to go from a Category 1 to a Category 5 hurricane. So here's some context on that.
By the way, there is no diversion. Stinky said Helene made landfall at Cat 4. There is no diversion of funds to illegals or whatever. I know that that's a conspiracy theory that like a lot of chatters have presented here. It's an entirely separate fund. You could potentially ask for more money for FEMA, which Congress seemingly does not have any money in the budget for. But that's it. There is no it's no different than saying that the money is being allocated to Israel instead. When people say that, I guess they're trying to say the government is spending the money that we have instead of diverting additional funds to FEMA on whatever kind of project that they're interested in. Now, obviously, they control the media shit is also deeply anti-Semitic and completely made up. Okay, cloud seeding or things of that nature cannot cause motherfucking hurricanes. Okay, it's just another conspiracy theory that people are presenting because they refuse to recognize the reality of anthropogenic climate change and what happens when both sea levels rise and also get warmer and warmer. So that's another silly thing that people are repeating or saying. Yeah, cloud seeding can cause floods and has. But that's very different than a fucking hurricane. Not sure if you saw this, but some guy at Washington Post wrote an article literally predicting this in 2017. Tampa Bay's coming storm. The area is due for a major hurricane and it is not prepared. If a big one scores a direct hit, the damage would likely surpass Katrina. Over the past 24 years since he moved into his house, the bayou has inched up a protective seawall and crept towards his front door. As sea level rises as a result of global warming and contributes to the flooding in his Venetian Isles neighborhood and Shore Acres, a neighboring community of homes worth is $2.5 million, about 70 times per year. Why stay, asked Luther, an oceanographer who knows perfectly well a hurricane could one day shove 15 feet of water into his living room. It's just so nice. Tampa Bay is mesmerizing with 700 miles of shoreline and some of the finest white sand beaches in the nation. He's like, I want to directly view the problem. As an oceanographer, I know what's about to happen, and I would like to be there experiencing it in real time. If like half of Tampa and the West Coast Florida gets wiped out, what's the point of rebuilding? Like, I don't even know how to answer this question. Like, what are we... I get where you're coming from, where it's like, it makes no sense. Like, you cannot fucking live there, you know? You literally cannot live there at this point. But you will never stop Americans from living there. Do you understand? As an oceanographer, his job is to go where the ocean is, his living room. Could this end up being an October surprise that flips Florida for their election? What are you saying? No. If anything, they will be more committed to voting for Donald Trump because they'll be like, Biden did the Jewish weather machine on us. Or also on top of, first of all, I love this question because it's like, liberalism is so one note where it's like, hey, a potential devastating, catastrophic natural event is about to take place in an otherwise deeply red state. How will this impact the election? That's a funny line of questioning. But beyond that, it also completely denies the almost problematic amount of agency that Americans have, and the way that they make decisions and the way that they think about these things. Okay, just like everything else, everything in the United States of America is hyper polarized, and that, of course, is not simply limited to, I don't know, gun control, or anything, really everything. But it's also hurricanes. Hurricanes are publicized and politicized. Okay, they're hyper polarized. So when a Republican state gets hit by a hurricane, the question immediately does not turn to like, how do we make sure that this never happens again? But instead it turns into, this is what the Democrats did to me. The Democrats did this to me. The hurricane will devastate Florida, and then Trump will famously say it would never have happened under him. That's what he's going to say. And people in Florida will go, oh my God, he's the most right anyone's ever been, and vote for him willingly. The other frustrating angle here is that this is one of the few issues where the Democrats are like noticeably and still to this day objectively better on. Like they're trying to reach the Republican side on the matter. They do this very stupid Democratic Party thing where they say, we see you, we hear you, we listen to the experts, climate change is real, and that's why we're going to be fracking and drilling baby drilling. And Trump just says climate change is fake and gay, Chinese made it up, and also we're going to keep drilling, which is weird because at least on the legislative front, the Democrats do recognize that climate change is real, so they do take some initiatives against it. And you are probably more likely to have a better response in times of need under a Democratic administration that is at least a little bit more competent. But even then, given how far right we have become as a nation, even with the marginally better stance that the Democrats have on the issue, recognizing climate change, trying to craft legislation that at least like hardens the American infrastructure against all of the worst impacts of devastating climate change, it's still not enough. There's a flock of birds stuck in the eye. They report observing flocks of birds within the eye of Milton. Milton is the only Category 5 hurricane in Atlantic records to have any sort of southeasterly motion vector. Southeasterly. What does that even like? So they never go in that direction normally? Is that what it is? Most of them hit like that. This one is hitting like this, going in the opposite direction. Dude, I am not particularly a apocalypse believing guy, but it does come across as somewhat apocalyptic. And I don't think the evangelicals are going to get sucked up into the heavens, if I'm being honest. God damn, dude. Holy shit.